It was late October on the island of Sodor. All of the engines were working hard. There was going to be a big Halloween party set up by Sir Topham Hatt. The engines were delivering supplies and workmen to the site of the party. There were plenty of jobs to do, and everyone was busy. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore, and still there's more, there's jobs that must be done. Train it, rain it, you name it, then we all believe the Halloween party will be ready on All Hallows Eve. There's jobs for mainline engines and branch line engines too. Jobs for workmen in the grounds for the party James to set up. And guess who's trying hardest to do more than the rest? It's Thomas, but the others know they all will do their best. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore, and still there's more, there's jobs that must be done. Train it, rain it, you name it, then we all believe the Halloween party will be ready on All Hallows Eve. Emily and Gordon taking workmen there. James and Edward bring the sweets while Henry's at the docks. And Toby drops the candy for all the kids to eat. And Percy drops supplies, no time to rest at Tidmouth Sheds. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore, and still there's more, there's jobs that must be done. Train it, rain it, you name it, then we all believe the Halloween party will be ready on All Hallows Eve. Jobs aplenty, 5, 10, 20 jobs for everyone. Jobs galore, and still there's more, there's jobs that must be done. Train it, rain it, you name it, then we all believe the Halloween party will be ready on All Hallows Eve. The Halloween party will be ready on All Hallows Eve. One late afternoon, Thomas and Percy were going to collect the merry-go-round supplies when... "Where's the carousel supplies?" "I don't know, but we need some fast." I have an idea. "This is ridiculous," said Wooden Railway Thomas. "I don't want to be part of the party. We have job to do in our dimension too, you know." "Oh, shut up," said Percy. "It'll be fine working here." "But the stupid children will ruin my paintwork," whined Wooden Railway James. "At least you will make them happy," added Thomas. "Well," thought Wooden Railway Percy, "as long as the children are happy, we are happy." "That's the spirit," said Thomas, and together he and Percy huffed and chuffed to the site of the Halloween party. Soon the two engines arrived at the site, and the workmen unloaded the carousel equipment. Afterwards, Thomas left to go to the sheds, while Percy took the trucks to collect some candy for the party. As Thomas puffed on his way home to the sheds, he began to wonder, what should my Halloween costume be? As more days went by, more work was completed. The party grounds were looking better than ever, and everyone was excited. Soon, everything was done, and the engines gathered around Tidmouth Sheds to hear Edward's scary story. "Hello, everyone," said Edward. "Thank you all for coming. I hope this story will actually be scary," said Thomas. "Oh, it will," said Edward in his mysterious voice. And so it began. So it is common knowledge that we are just toys, and that there are many other Plarails and Trackmasters just like us. "I thought this was supposed to be scary," interrupted Thomas. "Shut up," said James. "We want to hear the story." "Oh, it will be spooky, Thomas," said Edward, "because this ghost story is about you."
"Well, not you specifically. It's about another Plarail, Thomas. There once was a boy who loved his toy Thomas. He did everything with him. He took him to the park, he took him in the car, and he even slept with that little Thomas. They were best friends. Until one day, the boy left.
He had grown older and left to go to college. He left that poor little Thomas all alone in the darkness of the closet. One day, the little Thomas did get to see the light, but he was picked out for a garage sale by the boy's mom. Thomas knew that he might never get to play with the once loving boy again.
He was worthless.
But then something happened. He was hit by the boy's mom,
And the motor turned on. Thomas fell off
the table, and puffed away from his old owner's house.
He puffed and chuffed along the city streets, looking for someone who wanted him. But the more he continued on, he grew more tired and became more dirty. He just kept going and going and going.
Until his battery died. He could not move. He was stuck in place. And after that night, he was never heard from again. But some say he's still out there, under a cloak of white, looking for someone to love and care for him. He won't stop, dead or alive.
There was a long silence. That wasn't scary, said Thomas. I thought it was, Percy said, shivering. Pah! I bet you were the only one who was freaked out. No, Henry looked scared. Are you all right, Henry? Asked Gordon. No, said Henry nervously, because I think I've seen that ghost engine. Rubbish, said James. It is not rubbish, Henry said. It was last Halloween. I was pulling the flying the flying kipper. Ooh, what was that? Oh no, Henry, it's a ghost. You silly little... What was that? Okay, I swear, that was not me.
And that's what happened. Huh, said Thomas. I was wondering why you looked so spooked last year. Are you saying he's real? Asked Percy nervously.
Maybe. I don't know. I just hope it wasn't him. Anyway, guys, said Edward, it's time to get some sleep. We got a busy day ahead of us. And that is what they did.
It was finally Halloween on the island of Sodor, and it was a busy day indeed. The big engines were pulling loads of passengers, and the little engines were delivering extra candy for the party. But soon, the Halloween party was ready for opening, and the children began to arrive. All of the engines were going to attend too. They were getting their Halloween costumes all organized when Sir Topham Hatt came to the sheds. I am sorry to interrupt your preparations, said Sir Topham Hatt, but there is a load of empty trucks by the party grounds that need to be moved. Thomas, Percy, can you please move them? But what about our costumes? Asked Percy. We're not ready yet. Don't worry about him, sir, said Thomas. Percy's just being a scaredy engine. I am not. We'll be happy to take the train, sir. Thank you, said Sir Topham Hatt, and with that he left. What's wrong, Percy? Asked Thomas cheekily. Scared the ghost engine will find you? I am not scared. Now, you two, said Edward. The sooner you guys get to work, the sooner you can come and enjoy the party. All right, Thomas said. Come on, Percy. And the two engines puffed to the party. When Thomas and Percy arrived, the party director was waiting. "I need you to take these trucks to Wellsworth," he said, "just on the other side of the hill." "Yes, sir," said Thomas. "Yes, sir," whimpered Percy. "Hey, Percy," said Thomas, "you go in front and I'll push from behind." "What? No, you go in front. You're not scared, right?" "I am not. So I will go in front then." "Good," said the director. "Now please get a move on." So Percy coupled up in front and Thomas puffed to the back of the train. And with that, they were off. The further the two engines puffed, the darker it seemed to get. Percy was now getting very afraid indeed. And to make things worse, Thomas started singing. What's that just around the corner? Something in the rocks and trees. Slowly, slowly getting closer. Makes you want to puff and wheeze. Monsters everywhere hiding in the trees. Just behind the rocks blowing in the breeze. Monsters everywhere doing as they please. They try to scare you. Is your boiler getting colder as you slowly puff around? You must be brave, you must be bolder. It's no more than silly sounds. Monsters everywhere hiding in the trees. Just behind the rocks blowing in the breeze. Monsters everywhere doing as they please. They try to scare you. Look out, look out, they're all about. Look out, look out, they're all about. Look out, look out, they're all about. Oh, that's not so scary. Monsters everywhere hiding in the trees. Just behind the rocks blowing in the breeze. Monsters everywhere doing as they please. They try to scare you. Monsters everywhere hiding in the trees. Just behind the rocks blowing in the breeze. Monsters everywhere doing as they please. They try to scare you. The two soon arrived at Gordon's Hill. They began to huff and chuff over the hill, working very hard. At last they reached the top. They started to speed down when they saw an interesting sight. "That's strange," said Percy. "The signal's red." "There shouldn't be any other engines on our line," said Thomas. "The signalman must have fallen asleep."
What was that? Who's there? Reverse! Reverse! I've got you now. Oh no!
No, not my cloak of power. Thomas and Percy's eyes were wide. In front of them was the ghost of the Plarail Thomas. The two didn't know what to say. They were too shocked. But then, the ghost engine smiled. It wasn't an evil smile, but a kind smile. "Hello," he said. "I'm Thomas." "But I'm Thomas," said Thomas. He was very confused. "So, are you a ghost?" No," he said. "I was just under that cloak of power." I had just run out of battery and was on the brink of death when a white cloak flew right on top of me. But little did I know that that cloak wouldn't just give me the power to keep moving, but it could also turn me evil. So I continued on, doing who knows what to who knows who. But one day, I stopped in front of the director's house. "Who's the director?" asked Thomas. "He's the guy who plays with us and makes the stories." "Oh," said Percy. "Anyway, your director found me and decided to use me in one of his stories. And in that story, I was allowed to scare the living daylights out of Henry." "So that explains what happened last Halloween, I guess," said the other Thomas. "Say," thought Thomas, "I wonder if you can join us." "You mean join you guys on your crazy adventures?" "Sure, why not?" "Yeah, but we have a problem," said Percy. "We still need to deliver these trucks, and if you want to join, we can't just call you Other Thomas." "How about we call him Ronald? That would be a good name, if my original owner's name wasn't Ronald." Thomas thought again. "I can't think of any other good names." "You could think of Ronald but no other names?" said Percy. "Hey, thinking up names isn't as easy as it sounds," Thomas said. Suddenly, he had an idea. "Why don't we call you Ramus? A combination of the names Thomas and Ronald. That is one of the silliest ideas I've ever heard." "Let's use it," said Ramus. "Okay," said Percy, "but can we please take these trucks to Wellsworth now?" "Of course," said Thomas. So Ramus buffered up to Percy, and the 3 engines started off. In no time at all, they were at the station, and the station master was waiting. "Oh my goodness," he cried. "Thomas, what happened to you?" "He's not Thomas," laughed Percy. "He's our new friend Ramus," said Thomas. "Oh, there you are, Thomas. Phew, you gave me a scare right there." Suddenly, a cheeky idea flew into Thomas's funnel. "I have an idea to spook Sir Topham Hatt at the party. Percy, you will go first, and then Ramus follows him while—" "Oh," said Ramus, "I see what you're trying to say. We can scare Sir Topham Hatt by making him think I'm you." The 3 engines asked the station master, and he agreed. "I'll call and let them know you're coming. I just won't tell them about the prank." So Percy, Ramus, and Thomas puffed as fast as they could to the party. When the 3 friends arrived, Sir Topham Hatt was giving a speech. "Boys and girls, thank you all for coming. It's a shame that Thomas and Percy are not here yet. They will miss the fireworks."
"Okay, go," whispered Thomas. "Peep, peep. Oh, there's Percy and— oh my God!" The children screamed. "Peep, peep. Here I am, sir." "Oh, thank goodness," sighed Sir Topham Hatt. He looked at Ramus. "If that's Thomas, then who are you?" "I'm Ramus," said Ramus. "And Thomas and Percy are my friends." "Well, I can see that," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Say, sir, I was wondering—" "Yes, Ramus?" "Did I join your railway? I would like to work with my new friends." Sir Topham Hatt pondered. "I do need another engine for Thomas's branch line, because, we haven't really had a ton of new guys for the line. So, yes, you can join the railway." "Oh, thank you, sir," said the 3 engines at the same time. All the children cheered. "And with that," said Sir Topham Hatt, "let the fireworks begin." The fireworks were wonderful. Everyone was happy, but none could be more happier than Percy, Thomas, and Ramus.
The next day, Ramus was sent to the works to be repainted. A workman walked over to him. "I have orders from Sir Topham Hatt to give you the number 12, he said. "All right," said Ramus. "Would you like to be repainted?" asked the workman. "You look very dirty." "No, thank you," said Ramus. "The dirtiness gives me a defining look." So Ramus was given the number 12, and he headed to Knapford, where he will be meeting Sir Topham Hatt and Thomas. When he arrived, Thomas had a long train of trucks to take. Sir Topham Hatt said, "Ramus, you are here to help Thomas pull his train of freight cars." "Yes, sir." So Ramus coupled up in front, and the two set off. Along the line, they went faster and faster. The trucks rattled and screamed, but the two didn't mind. Thomas and Ramus were happy to work together, and they soon reached the station. "You're early," said the station master. "Well done. Now it is time to finish it. Ramus, take the trucks to the quarry." "I can't come," said Thomas. "I have another train to take. Can you handle the trucks on your own, Ramus?" "Of course." "All right, but be careful. The trucks can be very naughty." "Thanks, but I think I will be okay." And Ramus set off with the remaining trucks. "I bet 30 pounds that he will have an accident," said Thomas's driver. "You're on." But Ramus didn't have an accident. "Ha!" said Thomas's fireman. "Pay up." Ramus has had as much experience pulling trucks as Thomas did, so there was no problems whatsoever. When he arrived at the quarry, Toby was there. "Ah, so you're the new engine," he said. "I must say, you handled the trucks very well for a new guy." "Thank you," said Ramus. "Do you work at the quarry?" "No, but one of my friends does. Anyway, it's getting late. I'll show you to the Farquhar sheds." And that he did. When they arrived, Thomas was waiting. "Percy is out taking the mail train tonight," he said, "so you can sleep with us." So when Ramus and Toby got settled, Toby started talking about how well he handled the trucks. "Wow, you really could handle them on your own." "I'm only as good as you are," said Ramus. "But I must say, it would be nice to work at the quarry." Thomas was confused. "Why would you like to work at a dirty gray area?" "It reminds me of the times I was out on my own, on the dirty gray streets. It gave me this nostalgic feeling when I went there." "Seems to be a strange reason to work there, but okay." "Anyway," said Toby, "let's get to sleep. We have a busy day tomorrow." And soon the three friends went happily to sleep. As autumn turned into winter, Ramus became more and more like family to the other engines. He also became really popular among the passengers and visitors. He became almost as popular as Thomas and Percy. Ramus loved the praise, since he had never received so much love in years, though he got a little too used to it. In the spring, Ramus started to lose his popularity, and it started to go back to Thomas. Ramus didn't mind at first, but he soon started to get jealous. "I used to be the big engine back in winter," he would grumble to himself. "What happened? Now I have little to no attention while Thomas gets all the love." He wanted to change this, so he thought of a plan to get his popularity back. The next day, Ramus rushed to the washdown to be polished. When they finished, he looked very splendid indeed. Then came the next step. Ramus puffed into Knapford where he met Thomas. "Hey Thomas," said Ramus, "how about we race from here to Wellsworth?" Thomas was confused. "Right now?" he asked. "Yes, it's time to see who is the fastest Thomas on Sodor." Thomas couldn't resist. "You're on," he said. The two lined up, and the station master said, "Are you ready? Go!" Huffing and puffing, the two set off on their race to Wellsworth. Thomas and Rhomas are racing to Wellsworth. Everyone likes to be the first, not second, third, or fourth. Pistons pumping wildly, boilers fit to burst. Popularity's the reward for the engine who comes first. Steaming through the countryside, imagine their relation. Speeding past the platforms, they're not stopping at the station. Racing under bridges and then rallying round the bends. A large amount of praise awaits the winners at the end. Thomas and Rhomas are racing to Wellsworth. Everyone likes to be the first, not second, third, or fourth. Pistons pumping wildly, boilers fit to burst. Popularity's the reward for the engine who comes first. Children on the bridges waving as they both rush by. Go so fast if trains had wings you'd think they'd start to fly. Wishing and the wishing, oh, but what's that up ahead? It can't be true, they'll have to stop, the signals turn to red. Come on, I'll win this race. I'll take a rest and set the pace. He's out of puff, he's out of steam. Hooray, hooray, the signal's green. Thomas and Rhomas are racing to Wellsworth. Everyone likes to be the first, not second, third, or fourth. Pistons pumping wildly, boilers fit to burst. Popularity's the reward for the engine who comes first. Thomas and Rhomas are racing to Wellsworth. Everyone likes to be the first, not second, third, or fourth. Pistons pumping wildly, boilers fit to burst. Popularity's the reward for the engine who comes first. Thomas and Ramus came around the bend. An audience was cheering for them at the station. Ramus was in the lead. Victory was in sight. But then Thomas heaved one last huff and he passed Ramus at the last second. Thomas had won the race. The passengers cheered and everyone, especially Thomas, was happy. That is, everyone except for Ramus. Ramus's plan had failed, and since everyone was talking to Thomas, his shiny polish wasn't even mentioned. Ramus was disappointed and angry, really angry. That night, Ramus was in the shed alone until Toby puffed alongside. Thomas and Percy are taking the mail train tonight, he said. Thomas told me about the race. He said you put up a fine competition. Oh, good for him, going off and telling everyone about his victory. Don't worry about it, said Toby. Let's just get some sleep. But Ramus didn't go to sleep. He was muttering to himself. Now Thomas is more popular than ever, and I don't know what to do. He makes me so angry. If only he was never here at all. Ramus tried to go to sleep, but he was still wondering how he could pay Thomas out. He decided to leave the sheds to get some fresh air. As Ramus puffed down the tracks, he noticed something strange in one of the sidings. It was his old cloak. Huh, that's strange, he said. I never thought the cloak would still be on this island. And with that, Ramus puffed back to the sheds. The next day, Ramus was pulling a line of trucks, and the trucks were being very obnoxious. Ramus is a slow puff, he can't be Thomas. Ramus is a slow puff, he can't be Thomas. Be quiet, said Ramus as they arrived at the station. Thomas was waiting there with his two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle. Hey, Ramus, he called. Do you want to sleep at Tidmouth tonight? Ramus was still cross. He wanted to say no, but then he had an idea. An evil idea. One that involved the cloak. Yes, please, Thomas, he said finally. Great. You can sleep next to me if you want. See you tonight. And he puffed onto the main line. Okay. Hopefully the cloak is still in the siding, Ramus said to himself. When Ramus passed the siding, the cloak was still there. So he left his trucks at the next station and headed for Tidmouth sheds. When Ramus arrived, he saw a spot next to Thomas and immediately took it. He saw Thomas talking to Percy. Enjoy him while he lasts, Percy, Ramus thought to himself, because he's about to disappear. Soon everyone was asleep, except for Ramus. He silently coupled up to Thomas and Ramus puffed away with him. Ramus went down the branch line as silently as possible, and he soon came to the siding with his cloak. Whoosh! The cloak flew on top of him, and the dark power raged inside of Ramus. You took my popularity away. Now it is time to get my revenge. He puffed to the edge of the set, and with his cloak powers, he created a couple tracks leading off the set. Ramus used his cloak to turn on the motor, and Thomas was off, running off the island of Sodor layout. After removing the tracks, a gust blew and his cloak went flying into the distance. Now it is time to rest, said Ramus, and he chuffed silently back to Tidmouth sheds. The next morning, the engines found a terrible surprise. Where's Thomas? Asked Percy. Maybe he's late from a night train, said James. No, I don't think he had one, said Emily. Do you know anything, Ramus? Asked Gordon. I wish I did, said Ramus, but I don't. Meanwhile, Thomas had just woken up. Wait, this isn't Tidmouth? He looked around. Oh my gosh, I'm off the set! Thomas whistled for help, but the director was still asleep and he didn't hear him. So Thomas just puffed on and on. Back on the set, Sir Topham had arrived and the engines told him what had happened. "This is a state of emergency," said Sir Topham Hatt. "We must find Thomas." So the engines set off around the island looking for their lost friend. Where, oh, where is Thomas? Where has Thomas gone? Perhaps he's playing hide and seek, or something's really wrong. Sir Topham Hatt has spoken. Thomas must be found. So everyone is searching every inch of Sodor ground. The engines search the sidings and every length of track. They look for him round Tidmouth sheds, the front, the side, the back. The children get the day off school to hunt for you know who. And even Lady Hat joins in case she finds a clue. Where, oh, where is Thomas? Where has Thomas gone? Perhaps he's playing hide and seek, or something's really wrong. Sir Topham Hatt has spoken. Thomas must be found. So everyone is searching, but look who's off the set. Thomas is having a whale of a time. He's trapped in a teenager's room. He's rocking and rolling down the carpet floor. Who can even say when he's coming back? Who can even say when he's coming back? Meanwhile, up above him, Harold flies high. The narrow gauge are lurking too across the Sodor hills. Everyone is searching, Diesel at the docks. Bertie, Trevor, everyone behind each ragged rock. Where, oh, where is Thomas? Where has Thomas gone? Perhaps he's playing hide and seek, or something's really wrong. Sir Topham Hatt has spoken. Thomas must be found. So everyone is searching every inch of Sodor ground. So everyone is searching every inch of Sodor ground. Thomas was puffing around and around the room. He kept hearing strange sounds, like deep breathing and cracking. He was becoming very afraid indeed. But back on Sodor, the engines were still searching for him. They looked at the mines, they looked at the docks, and they even looked in the storage bin. But no matter what they did, the engines could not find their friend. At the end of the day, Sir Topham Hatt gathered the engines at Knapford Station. "I am sorry to inform you that Thomas is nowhere to be found. This is causing serious problems. Our number 1 engine is down, and I need someone to run his branch line." "Sir, can I run his branch line?" said Ramus rather excitedly. "I'm still technically Thomas, just a little different." "Of course, but only for the time being, you know." Yeah, sure. "Thank you," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Now, everyone back to the sheds." But at Tidmouth, the engines were gossiping with each other. "Ramus seemed a little too excited to take over Thomas's branch line," said Gordon. "He might have something to do with Thomas being missing," said Emily. "He probably killed him and then got rid of the body." "What? It was only a suggestion." "Come on, Ramus," said Percy. "Let's just go take the mail train, get away from these lunatics." And the 2 engines left the noisy sheds. Thomas finally came to a stop, as his battery had just died. He could not move. He would just have to stay there and waste away. But then Thomas heard some footsteps. He got very scared. "What is it?" he thought. Is it a monster?" Meanwhile, on the island of Sodor, Ramus was taking Annie and Plarail along the line. He was disappointed that he can no longer deliver trucks to the quarry, but he was thinking of something else. He was thinking of all the good times he had with his old friend Thomas. He was thinking of when they first met, when they raced to Wellsworth, and all the little discussions in between. It suddenly hit Ramus like a train. He had made a terrible mistake. He never really hated Thomas. He was just jealous. Ramus decided that he must get his friend back, but he didn't know how. Meanwhile, Thomas was now very scared. He saw a hand reach out for him. Thomas shut his eyes. But it was only the director. "Looks like you ran out of battery," he said. "I'll fix that. I will get you back to Sodor." "Thank you," said Thomas, and the director took Thomas down to the garage. Meanwhile, Ramus was stopped at a station with Percy. "I really miss Thomas," said Percy. "Me too," said Ramus. "Can I tell you something, Percy?" "Yes?" I got rid of Thomas," he said. "I was angry at him, and I was jealous. So I used the cloak and pushed him off the set." Percy was speechless. "But I realized my mistake, and now I want to get him back. Can you help me?" "Well, first off, you're a huge jerk for doing that to my best friend." I know. I'm sorry. But," continued Percy, "I believe you, and I'll do anything to help my friends. Thank you, Percy." Soon, Thomas had new batteries, but a lot of questions. "Do you know how I ended up here?" he asked. "Ramus used his magic cloak to move you off the set." "Really? Oh, that little rotten—" "Wait, how do you know all this?" "Well, I was filming you and telling the story the whole time. I'm even filming and narrating this discussion right now." Thomas was stunned, but not just because the director knew everything, but also that Ramus had tried to get rid of him. But soon Thomas was back on the set and puffed off to find his old friend. Meanwhile, Ramus, Percy, and Toby were looking for the cloak. They figured finding it would help bring Thomas back, but they couldn't find it anywhere. "It's like it disappeared," said Ramus. "Toby should be here soon," said Percy. "Maybe he found—" Peep, peep, peep! It was the sound of a whistle. Ramus and Percy knew that whistle far too well. There was Thomas pushing a long line of trucks. "Thomas!" cried Ramus. "You're back! Thank goodness! Now we—" "Wait, aren't you on the same track as me?" "Oh no!" Ramus reversed quickly with Annie and Clarabelle at his back and Thomas rushing at full speed at his front. Ramus puffed and shoved as fast as his wheels would let him, but Thomas and the trucks were catching up. On, faster, faster," said the trucks. "You tried to get rid of me," said Thomas, "and now you will pay." Ramus soon stopped at a sign at the quarry. "Quickly," he shouted to the workmen, "change the points." And he did, just as Thomas raced in and crashed the trucks into the tunnel. But Thomas recovered quickly, and he was soon right in front of Ramus. "Please, Thomas," whimpered Ramus, you don't have to do this." "I can do as I please. I am the #1 engine." His pistons pumped, and his wheels turned. But he found that he wasn't going forward. Percy and Toby were coupled to Thomas and holding him back from charging into Ramus. "Let me go!" Thomas cried. "Let me at him!" "Listen to me, Thomas," said Ramus. "I know what I did. I pushed you off the set, leaving you to die. I may have taken your branch line from you, and I may have even stole some popularity. But I realized my mistake. I tried to get you back home safely. Percy and Toby helped. But you got back on your own, and now you're angry. I was too, but taking out my anger on you didn't make me feel better, and it's not going to make you feel better either. Thomas, my friend, I'm sorry." "Believe him," said Percy. "Please," said Toby. "He's sorry," said Annie. "Don't do this, Thomas," said Clarabelle. I... Thomas thought for a second. He thought of all the times he spent with Ramus, how he helped him, and how he was nice to him. But now he can see a lonely, frightened little engine who was truly sorry for his mistake. I believe you, Ramus, and I'll forgive you. I'm sorry for letting all this anger out on you. That's all right, said Ramus. I'm sorry too. We act in strange ways when we're angry. We may be the same engine, but we are friends at heart. Come on, let's get back to the station. So the three engines coupled up to Ramus, and they puffed to the Farquhar station. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting for them. Thomas! Cried Sir Topham Hatt. There you are! I am so glad to see that you are safe. Ramus and Thomas told him everything that had happened. Well, Sir Topham Hatt paused. What's important is that you are all safe. Thomas, you will return to your normal routine work. Yes, sir. And Ramus, I understand this incident, and I know you would like to continue to work on the branch line with your friends, but I'm afraid I can't do that. I understand, said Ramus sadly. Take me away. That won't be necessary, said Sir Topham Hatt. You may not be working on the branch line, but that doesn't mean you won't be seeing your friends, because I've decided that you shall work at the Farquhar Quarry. Really? Cried Ramus. Oh, thank you, sir. I have always wanted to work at the quarry. Excellent, said Sir Topham Hatt. I know you will be very popular among the engines and workmen there. And, sir? Yes, Ramus. I learned a lesson from all of this. And what is that? It's that you can't let anger and jealousy get in the way of your friendships. And that, Ramus, is 100% true, said Sir Topham Hatt, and all of the engines cheered. The four branch line engines knew that this was truly an unforgettable moment, especially for Thomas and Ramus.
It's Thomas. You're the leader. Yeah, come on. Okay, they're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8. Shunting trucks and hauling freight. Red and green and brown and blue. They're the useful crew, that's who. All with different roles to play. Round Tidmouth sheds and far away. Now join this friendly pack, but who's this coming down the track? The list is long, it never ends. James and Percy, Huff and Puff. And Emily, she knows her stuff. Henry, Edward, what a pair. Yeah. Toby, like I say, he's square. Gordon thunders down the line. Everyone's a friend of mine. That's right.
So that's going to be all for this video, guys. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. But that's all for now, guys. This is the Blue OJ Leader, and I'll see you later.